Hello everybody and welcome back to the British Pokemon League show. We're here at week 3 and we're only 2 weeks away from the mid-season break. Honestly, it feels like we just got started and we're already like closing in on break time, and we'll have free agency, transfers kicking off, all the works. But we've got some games to look at first, of course. Before we kick off at anything, let's take a quick look at the league tables. Just going to adjust the volume of the music there. First off, starting things out, we've got the British Pokemon League East. As you can see in glorious surfers, Aaron sat there at the top of the British Pokemon League East Division 2-0, making an absolutely perfect start. Didn't have the best of times at the end of Season 1, but really coming out with a bang so far, and Aaron doing some really big things. Below him is his close rival, South Croydon Saurs, at a 1-1 record, obviously losing out to Tall Belgrade at week 1, but coming out real strong against Celtic Celebes in week 2. Really putting in the work with that beat up on the Cavalion. Tall Belgrade, again, real strong week 1, not so great week 2, unfortunately. Beaten out by the Newcastle Thunderous in the local derby game. Shadowkings not able to continue their good start of the season either, also losing out as well to Aaron's Inglorious Surfers. Quite a heavy defeat, that one being what was a very close game. And of course Newcastle Thunderous down there in second and bottom, obviously getting their first win of the season, as we just mentioned, over Torstar Belgrade. That Venusaur and Ninetales duo really coming in clutch. And at the bottom there, Celtic Celebes still searching for that first win, but of course it is early days, so anything could happen, you know, just because they're down there now. It could be all changed by the time we come to the mid-season break. Over in the West Division, Latvians Miami Heat. He's the winner of Season 1 and he's came into Season 2 meaning absolute business. 2-0 over Omlight, 2-0 over Bulu Boys last week. Is there anyone that can put a stop to Miami Heat? We will find out in just a little bit, as they're taking on second place Slithering Sceptiles, who've also made a really strong start of life in the British Pokemon League. One of our new boys, starting out 2-0, getting the win over the Bulu Boys week 1 and the win over 200 Candies in week 2, so that's going to be a very close game. Below them, California Bastions bouncing back from that week 1 defeat, getting the 2-0 over Long Island Goomies, who are there below. Obviously Goomies were hoping to take advantage of that good start, but unfortunately not able to continue on. Our Season 1 regular season champions, Bulu Boys, down there, second and bottom, 0-2 without a win so far. So a few people are probably surprised to see them down there, but you know, as we said, it's early days, anything can happen, and 200 Candies also on the 0-2 record. Got a lot of work to do to start getting some wins in. It's not as long as a season as it was in Season 1, but as I always say, we still have plenty of Pokemon still left to play as we take a look at the schedule. Kicking things off today, we've got the South Croydon Saurs versus Shadowkings. As we said, the Saurs got their maiden win of the season over the Celtic Celebes last week. Shadowkings unfortunately losing out to the Inglorious Surfers week 2, so Dogzie will be looking to bounce back and Crizzle will be looking to continue that momentum. Next up is the Newcastle Thunderous taking on Inglorious Surfers. Dave will be he can take a lot of pride from that win over Torstar Belgrade in what will be a pretty difficult game. Obviously Dave has not lost to Aaron's Inglorious Surfers just yet, so we'll see what happens there. Torstar Belgrade taking on Celtic Celebes. Celebes looking for their first win of the season. Could the Torstar Belgrade team be the first to fall foul of the Celebes? We'll have to wait and see. Next up, over in the West Division, we've got Miami Heat taking on Slithering Sceptiles, first versus second. Already, we've got a top-of-the-table clash on week 3. Then, we've got the Bulu Boys taking on Long Island Goomies. The Bulu Boys looking for that very first win of the season. Goomies looking to, of course, bounce back from that defeat last week. And finally, to round out the show today, we've got California Bastions taking on 200 Candies. Candies also looking for that elusive first win. Bastions will be looking to, as I said a few teams, keep that momentum. But our first game of this week, as we mentioned, South Croydon Saurs taking on the Shadowkings. Obviously, last week, Dogzie brought something a little bit different with the Salamence. Obviously, week 1 brought with the Intimidate and the Weakness Policy prop via Comfort, but last week went with the Moxie. That's Salamence has got 2 absolutely stupendous abilities. You know, Intimidate is so strong against any kind of physical team, and that Moxie, you know, if it's able to get going, you know, it's real hard to stop unless you've got a good answer to Salamence. Haven't really seen any of the, or very much of the Katana just yet, so we're looking to see if that comes out this week. Grimmsnar and Clef as well. Big support mons on this team. Obviously, there is an option to bring Grimsnar with a physical attacking build, but you never know. Altaria as well, we've not really seen anything of yet. I think that could be pretty big against the South Croydon Saurs team if Crizzle chooses to go with the Sun team, the Torkoal and the Venusaur, of course. Airshrew single strike as well. Didn't exactly have the greatest of games against Aaron's Inglorious Surface, but we'll see if it can continue that high kill record that it's already racked up so far. Over on the other side, South Croydon Saurs, Crizzle. The Venusaur and Torkoal duo still yet to come. Everyone during the draft saw that and I think got a little bit scared. I think a little bit similar to like Latvians, Glacier and a few other sort of duos, saw that and was like, uh-oh. But Crizzle's been able to find a lot of creative ways to use this team. We've seen Porygon Z and Togetic line up so far. We have seen Cobalion with the Sneasel beat up duo. That can be really, really strong. Machamp's also made a few appearances as well. So Crizzle finding a lot of creative ways to use this team, so it'll be interesting to see what he brings this week against Dogzie's Shadowkings. So ought to be a very close game. Do want to say as well, this will be the last time you will be seeing this head-to-head screen. We've got a brand new screen coming for next week. I did have it ready for this week, but unfortunately didn't have time to get everything quite set up on it before I got started today. So I do apologise for that, but it will be there for week 4 and beyond. So this will be the last time you have to look at this beautiful screen. Just want to say a quick big shout out to Big Dog Dave. He's not here right now. He's down in Bristol, but big shout out to Dave for all of the graphic design he does for the show. It's a huge help, and he does some absolutely sensational work. But without further ado, let's take a look at our first game of week 3 of the British Pokemon League East Division. And starting out there, we have got the Sneasel and the Porygon Z for the Saurs, and Salamence and Clefairy on the other side of Salamence goes straight for its Dynamax, and the Z goes for its Dynamax as well. Fake Out comes out from the Sneasel, stops that Clefairy doing any follow me shenanigans. Max Flare comes out the Salamence to take Sneasel right down with Sash. Hailstorm comes out from the Porygon Z. That still does quite a lot of damage through the Yachi Berry from the Salamence. Sneasel doesn't go down to that hail damage as well, so really good stuff to keep that in the game. And Clef carries on as well, but that's still huge damage to that Salamence. Porygon Z really, really hitting super hard straight off the bat. So both teams going for that hyper offense, going straight for the Dynamaxes. We see a lot of different things in this league. We see a few teams who just go straight for the Dynamax turn 1 and go super hyper offense, and then we see other teams where it's just super slow and so going the slow and chip each other down. The Icy Wind comes out, drops the speed of the Salamence and the Clef. There's the Max Strike on the Clef. The Clef goes down. Clefairy goes. Salamence up next with a Max Flare, but he goes into the Sneasel to take it out. And that is 1 apiece. It is 3v3, but Salamence now with that speed drop, the double speed drop it is actually, which could be really, really huge for the side of South Croydon Saurs. It's a really, really good turn from Crizzle, slowing Dogzie's team right down. That Salamence looking really, really scary unless you can put a stop to it. So not running that Moxie it would seem this time. There's the Comfey comes out, and here's the Torkoal. So Torkoal does make an appearance and sets up the Sun now. So Torkoal is going to get that Sun boost. Obviously no Trick Room up, so no speed control for that Torkoal. So it is going to be going last, but that's not to where it is. If it doesn't go down, it's still going to be able to hit super hard. There's the Floral Healing, gets Salamence back up to half HP. Max Strike does take out the Salamence though. Porygon Z gets another kill on the board. It is now a 3v2, and a Sludge Bomb from the Torkoal does quite a bit of damage to that Comfey. As well as now Katana. Katana finally makes its appearance for Dogzie Shadowkings. First time it's a debut for the Katana. This could really get some damage going, but it's not, it doesn't match up awfully well against that Torkoal. So unless it can get an Oko or a really good hit to that Torkoal, it's in some trouble as a Draining Kiss comes out from the Comfey, gets some HP back. Ally Switch comes out, the Sacred Sword into the Torkoal. That's a really good turn. There's a Heat Wave. It's going to take Katana down with Sash. Comfey just about hangs on as well and gets burnt for his trouble. Citrus Berry does take it back up to half HP, just keeping itself around. A really, really good Ally Switch play there from Crizzle. Really, really well played as we move on into turn number 5. Katana with the Sash there, just keeping it around. That Sun boosted Heat Wave is going to be doing so much. Especially, I mean, I don't know if it would matter, but if it's Charcoal Torkoal as well, you would expect it's going to Oko Katana with absolute ease, 4 times effective move. And Porygon Z still kicking around, still just looking super strong against Dogzie's team here. Dogzie just with absolutely no answer to it. There's the Draining Kiss onto the Torkoal, gets the Comfey a bit more help. There's the Sacred Sword, does finally take out the Porygon Z, so finally gets going. There's the Heat Wave, does manage to hit both. Katana goes down. It is now Comfey versus the world in this game 1 One thing with the all doing, I think that is going to be 1-0 at Crizzle. Fantastic start from the South Croydon Saurs, starting as the meeting going on as Galvantula comes out. First time we've seen that Pokemon as well, so interesting to see what kind of build, what kind of moves it does here, but not that it's really going to matter at this point. And Comfey's going down, Dranicus comes out, gets a little bit of HP back, but speed swap there from the Galvantula. There's the Sludge Bomb, takes out the Comfey, and South Croydon Saurs take this game number 1. And we move on into game number 2. As you can see, Cabalion, Machamp, and well, there was the only 2 ones that didn't come that time for Saurs. And Grimmsnarl Katana leads the line this time for Dogzie, so changing it up a little bit, showing a little bit of, adaptability. As you can see as well that the Altaria is in that team of 6 for Dogzie. Whether it's came in this team before, we'll have to wait and see. But it's Porygon Z and Sneasel once again leading the line for Crizzle's South Croydon Saurs. That duo made a really, really strong start in that game 1. Whether Dogzie has an answer to it, obviously Katana does have that fighting move. I want to say I always forget, I think it's Sacred Sword, the move. I do always forget Katana's moveset, so I do apologise if I got that wrong. Grimmsnarl as well, can maybe get some scripts with Katana, goes for his Dynamax. Porygon Z goes for his Dynamax Protect, comes out from the Grimmsnarl, tries to stop that Faker, but Icy Wind comes out instead. That's going to slow that Katana right down, gets a speed drop. There's the Max Strike on the Katana, and the critical hit, that could really matter, and Katana goes down the Dynamax end straight off the bat for Dogzie. What a disaster that is. I think the crit definitely mattered there, but that's just the way the cookie crumbles with Pokemon and Pokemon Showdown. There's a lot of RNG elements to this game, and that's just the way it is. And now Grimmsnarl and Comfey, now it depends what build is on that Grimmsnarl. It could be a physical attacking build, but otherwise that is 2 support mons sat in front of Crizzle's Porygon Z and Sneasel. There's the Draining Kiss onto the Sneasel. Power Swap comes out from the Grimmsnarl. There's the Triple Axle onto the Comfey. It's going to take it down to 71%. Max Strike takes the Grimmsnarl out though, even with the Power Swap. Porygon Z just doesn't care and just OHKOs it, and this is just turning into an absolute landslide. In comes the Altaria then, so we do finally get to see that Altaria from Dogzie. But what can it really do here, at this point? The Dynamax is bent, that Porygon Z looking awfully difficult to stop, That Icy Wind proving to be so huge, and the crit as well. I think definitely Matt, I don't think Crizzle might be saying that. There's the Draining, because Comfey does get a kill for his troubles. The Sneasel goes down, play rough onto the Porygon Z. It's not going to matter too much. There's the Max Hailstorm, takes out the Altaria, another crit for the Saurs, and it is now Comfey versus the world once again, and this is going to be the 2-0. Crizzle getting a 2-0 for the 2nd week running. Dogzie just with absolutely no answer to that Porygon Z. As I said, I think the crits were really big in this game, but you've got to adapt to that, and Dogzie very unfortunate with them crits, but having no answer to that Porygon Z. So really great win from Crizzle. He's played this super well. GG's to both players. There's the Thunder from the Galvantula. It does manage to hit. There's the Hyper Beam as Comfey goes down. That is match number 1 over and done with. Crizzle gets the win over Dogzie. Dogzie going down to that 1-2 record, and Crizzle moving up to 2-1. So Crizzle really bouncing back from that week 1 win. A great win there for Crizzle. Super well played, getting the speed drops, especially in that game 1, just proved to be so critical. And it was a really fun game to watch. As I said, unfortunate for Dogzie with those crits. I think he didn't do too much wrong there. It's just, as I said, the way the cookie crumbles, and I'm sure he's going to bounce back next week for sure. As we move on to our 2nd game of the week. Now, just again, I want to say a little note. A lot of the games this week, unfortunately, I wasn't able to be present at to record, so there's a few games where I've had to watch just the replays, so if they seem a little faster paced and I'm struggling to keep up, I do apologise. I've tried running the replays in a slow mode, and it's like too slow. There's like no in between, so it's a little bit difficult to keep up, but I will do my best. Anyway, I'm going to stop rambling on. We have got the Surfers versus Newcastle Thunderous. Obviously, Thunderous getting that first win of the season over Tallstar Belgrade last week. Another 2-1 game between those two players. Honestly, it's a close game between those guys every single time, without fail. I don't think it needs to be said how strong that Instant Lando lead could be. Obviously, on Aaron's side, he has got a competitive and defiant mon in his lineup, so Dave is definitely going to have to be watchful of that. He also has a Trick Room setting in this team as well, with the likes of Glyspod, Lantern, the Hatterene as well. And, arguably Whiscash as well could be running there as well, but we haven't seen any of those yet. No Klefki yet either. I would very much expect the Venusaur and Ninetales comes along into this game. For sure, I think that duo is very likely to come in. Whether Dave can use it to his advantage like he did against Weo, we'll have to wait and see. Moving on to Aaron's team, as we just said as well, there is the Defiant and Competitive Mons on that team, so Dave definitely going to have to watch out for that. The Moltres Galar, which we haven't seen just yet, could be also really, really strong here as well. You know, Dave has a little bit of flying type weakness, especially in the sort of main duos. We've also seen Aaron run with the Thunderous Prankster and Rain Dance setup to get Kingdra going, and Kingdra could really run house if Dave does choose to run with that Lando Instant lead-in to try and drop that physical attack. Obviously, we've seen just the phenomenal power that Diamantine has as well for Aaron, so a lot of mons for Dave to be careful of here as we move on into this next game of Week 3, Inglorious Surfers versus Newcastle Thunderous. Hang on. Sorry guys, I don't know what happened there. My mic wasn't wasn't set up there. Alright, we'll start again. Anyway, it is the Kingdra going out with the Dynamax. There's the fake out onto the wrong one, and the Thunderous does get its Rain Dance set up, and Max Geyser is going to take out that Lando T. So Dave choosing the wrong mon to fake out. Ninetales goes for its Dynamax. There's the Rain Dance again. The Max Geyser is going to take out that Insane. Insane goes down for his troubles. That fake out in the wrong one, really going against Dave from the bot there. And there in comes the Venusaur. Slurpuff swaps in for that next one as the Geyser takes out for the Ninetales as well. Slurpuff swapping in for that Thunderous. Sleep Powder doesn't work because the Sweet Veil from the Slurpuff. Great tactics there from Aaron. Cobra Berry is going to stop the Hurricane from taking the Venusaur right out, so a good choice of item there from David. Sludge Bomb, the Slurpuff just about hangs on from that. Dazzling Gleam's not going to do all that much to the Venusaur, but one more Hurricane is going to take it out. Is that going to be it? There is the Hurricane onto the Venusaur, and game number 1 to Aaron. Apologies there. For some odd reason, my audio input capture wasn't set up for that show, but that clip. But as we move on into game 2, Dave starting out with the Hatterene and Goliath, and we saw this duo against Dogzie in week 1, so could it be a different line of the Thunderbolt comes out on the Hatterene. There's the Geyser on the Hatterene down straight away. Liquidation is going to come out from the Goliath, and that's going to take care of Thunderous, so it's a good trade there, but Dave not able to get the Trick Room set up as in comes Venusaur, and Goliath goes for its Dynamax. Airstream into the Goliath, that is going to take it down to below 50% emergency exit, and Dave's going to lose that Dynamax straight off the bat. A disaster once again with that Goliath as Instant swaps in. Flamethrower onto the Venusaur's not going to do too much in the rain, and there's Sludge Bomb Slurpuff just about hanging on there. I don't understand how it's hung on there. The fake out on the Slurpuff now. Airstream is going to not take the Venusaur out thanks to that Cobra Berry. Good stuff there from Dave, stopping that Kingdra from really running house. There's the Sludge Bomb of the Kingdra. It's not really doing much. Kingdra's Dynamax does end. There's the Hydro Pump onto the Instant. So Instant just not getting anything going this game. Kingdra just absolutely running house. There's the Dazzling Gleam. There's a Sludge Bomb onto the Slurpuff. So Venusaur does get another kill. There's 2v2 Glycopod. Venusaur versus Glaring Moltres and Kingdra. But there is the Hurricane from the Kingdra. And that is going to be it. Fiery Wrath from the Moltres gets the job done. And there it is. Aaron getting yet another 2-0 win finally getting that win over Dave's Newcastle Thunderers. I think Dave made a really unfortunate error Dynamaxing that Goliath pod there again. I think if you get Trick Room set up, then maybe it's the one to go for, but it happens, it's unfortunate. These things, you got to learn from them, and I think Dave, you can't take it too much to heart. You got a few calls wrong and that happens, but that's not to take anything away from Aaron. I think Aaron played that absolutely perfectly. Saw the threats coming and just max guys at everything's face off. Kingdra really coming in clutch. I just want to quickly check that the next game does have my mic set up. Okay, it does. Right. Sorry about that, guys. I don't know what happened there. It wasn't set up. I'm just Altabot today. Anyway, our third game of week 3. Torstar Belgrade taking on the Celtic Celebes. As we said earlier in the show, the Celebes are looking for their first win of the season. Could this be the one where they grab it against the Torstar Belgrade? Obviously, Torstar Belgrade did lose last week. That's not to say the same result, though. We know just how strong that Corviknight G-Max can be in the right setting. And Drapion as well, if Weo does choose to bring it this week, that Drapion with the sniper, with maybe, a scope lens, could really do some big damage. Jellicent at the moment is sat top of the kills leader, so Jellicent is definitely something that Draco is going to have to be watchful out for. It's a strong Pokemon, and with that strength sap as well, it could really put a stop to any physical attackers. Raichu as well could be really difficult to sort of deal with, if Draco does bring something like the Vikavolt along those lines with its Lightning Rod, but it's a little bit sort of defensively weak is Raichu, so I have to wait and see what happens, with that Raichu. Is it sashed? Is it going to be air ballooned? I think the right sort of item could sort of make or break that game. Rotom Heat we haven't really seen since week 1, so it'll be interesting to see whether that comes this week against Draco. Taking a look at Draco's team. So the Lele has been a very popular choice for Draco so far, and I think that could be a really good shout in this game as long as it doesn't sort of face off against something like the Corviknight. Haven't really seen any of the Rillaboom G-Max just yet, so no G-Max spring from Draco just yet, but I don't think he's needed it. The likes of Lele, Stakataka, Dracovish, and Drifblim have just been putting in such work, and that Haunter as well has been a lot stronger than expected. I think a lot of people just sort of seen that as a support mon, but it really proved week 1 that it's not just a one-trick pony. So Draco's got a very sort of well-rounded team here. It matches very well against Weo's team, but that's also the same said the other way. It's a vice versa, but it's just gonna be about who picks what and who gets the lineups right. But without further ado, I'm gonna start wearing on. Let's get into our game number 3: Celtic Celebes versus Torstar Belgrade, as Draco lines out with the Drifblim and the Tapu Lele on his Flygon and Raichu on the other side of the field. So we are obviously expecting maybe that Vikavolt to come out. There's the Max Airstream into the Raichu, gets that speed boost. The pops the balloon as well. The Moonblast in the Flygon, that's going to get the Oko straight off the bat. Volt Switch into the Drifblim. It's not really going to do all that much. Takes a little bit of chip damage, and Raichu swaps out as in comes the Serena and the Jellicent, and Jellicent is going to go straight down to a Max Phantasm and the Moonblast. There's a triple Axle from the Serena, but that's not really doing all that much. Takes it down to below 25% HP as the Drifblim keeps its Dynamax. There's the Max Airstream into the Serena. Serena goes down, and it is now all up to Raichu. There's the Moonblast, and Raichu goes down, and it's a 4-0. Draco absolutely sweeping Torstar Belgrade's lineup there. Absolutely not standing a chance. Great start there from Draco as Corviknight and Drapion lead the line into Game 2. It's Drifblim and Lele once again from Draco, not changing the winning formula, so it's good stuff. Psychic Sedge gets that Unburden with the Psychic Seed, gets that Unburden, procs to that Drifblim's going faster. Max Guard comes out, there's the Night Slash, stops the Drapion from taking out the Psychic from the Lele, not doing too much to Corviknight. That Steel Spike is going to take out the Lele though, and gets the kill on the board as Hop, Torstar Belgrade get their first kill, and it is 4v3. Sucker Punch from the Absol, that's not going to do a whole lot. It does get a crit though. Max Phantasm into the Corviknight, that's going to reduce that defense buff that he got from the Steel Spike. Night Slash takes the Drifblim down to 60, and the Wind Rage as well does a little bit more damage to that Drifblim as Guard comes out from the Drifblim as well, and the Detect from the Absol keeps it around for another 10 as Weo goes to double in to Draco's Mons. The Dynamaxes end on both sides. There's a Sucker Punch of the Corviknight. That's not really troubling it too much. There's the Phantom Force. That's going to mean the Night Slash is going to miss. Iron Head doing a little bit of damage as well to the Absol as well. So still autoplay for as we move into turn 5. Protect comes out from the Corviknight, but the protection get broken by that Phantom Force. There's the Night Slash in the Drifblim. So Drifblim finally goes down after 2 games. There's the rock slide into the Corviknight. Corviknight, though, somehow hangs on through that as Dracovish now lines up as 2v4. Raichu swaps in for the Corviknight. There's the Night Slash onto the Absol. Gets the critical hit as he was wanting. The Vicious Rend. Drapion manages to hang on through that, and it's all up to Dracovish. Fake Out comes out from the Raichu. Cross Poison gets a crit, but Dracovish somehow hanging on from that. Protect comes out from the Vish, but I think that's going to do it. That's going to be game number 2. We're going to another game number 3. You know, what is it about Weo and game number 3? Is he just synonymous with each other? And there it is. Gets taken down there by the Drapion as Vikavolt and the Stack Attacker lineup against. So Hop not choosing to switch his lineup as Vikavolt and the Stack Attacker. Corviknight goes for his G-Max as Raichu swaps in. There is the Vikavolt with its G-Max as well. Steel Spike into the Stack Attacker. That's going to get a bit of a defense buff. There's the Max Lightning, but the Lightning Roll is just going to tank that and gets a special attack boost to the Raichu. That's a 1 Dynamax 10 wasted from the Draco. There's the Fake Out onto the Stack Attacker. The Trick Room's already gone up there, and the Flutterby is going to take out the Raichu. So the Trick Room gets open. That's huge because that Vikavolt is so strong under Trick Room. It's got such a high special attack, as we found with Gus last season, using it to much to his advantage. Max Lightning is going to get blocked by that Max Guard, and Drapion just hanging on through that Gyro Ball. Vikavolt's D-Max does end, as does Corviknight. And the Drapion is going to swap out here as Jellicent comes back in. There's the Gyro Ball. Jellicent not caring too much about that. Thunderbolt is going to take out that Corviknight though, so another victim to the Vikavolt as Drapion comes in as the last time Trick Room. Stack Attacker is going to take it out, and it is all up to Jellicent now. Bug Buzz not doing too much to that Jellicent there, but does get a special defense drop, which could be used. Stack Attacker takes that Scald and just about hangs on from it. We don't think we would have expected that, as Strength Sap gets some help back on the Jellicent, but it's not going to matter because Thunderbolt's going to take it out, and that is game number 3 as Celtic Celebies get their first win of the season. Torstar Belgrade goes down to 1-2 record. Congrats to Draco on getting his first win this season. Really well played. That was 3 4-0s in a row. Every single game 4-0. Absolutely madness. Absolute madness. Honestly, I was watching that back and just couldn't believe my eyes. It's just the sort of the heavy hitting power. I think did so well to get that Trick Room set up in that final game. Really big deciding factor, and Vikavolt, you know, is such a strong Pokemon. You know, I think Weo thought he had that sort of, you know, covered off, and just didn't expect the Max Flutterby to just slap that Raichu off the field. But GG's to both players, well played to both players as well. You know, as I said, Weo always manages to take it to game 3, and that just sort of is testament to just how strong of a player he is. But Draco, much stronger this week, and does get that first win on the board. That all-important first win. As we move on now to the British Pokemon League West Division, we have got the Miami Heat versus Slithering Sceptiles. It is first versus second, our first versus second game of this season. What can you say about Latvian? This team is looking so strong. Absolutely, neither players he's played so far have had an answer to his team. It's just, once again, there's just so many variables, and it's so like dynamic, and there's so many sort of different moving parts to it. And you know, we know how strong of a player Latvian is, and he's as you said, he's just carrying on that season 1 form. Glastrier and Whimsicott under the Trick Room really doing the work last week, and also Centre Scorch as well, coming back to bite Matt on the backside. That Slowking Galar as well, also super strong, so could be a good bring here against Jabba's Slithering Sceptiles. Cinderace as well, could be a Cinderace Blastoise game, this to sort of counteract that the Tyranitar and the Dracozolt. Is this maybe a game for Pincurchin just to put a stop to that Dracozolt? We know Dracozolt's been running with the Choice Band, so if Lat can get a good switch in here, maybe put a complete stop to that Dracozolt. And of course, on the other side, we have seen just how strong of a player Jabba is. You know, it was complete mind games against Candies last week, and he played it absolutely superbly to get that 2-0 win, to move the 2-0 record. That's just shows just how, you know, close of a game this really could be. You know, it looked very much like he was always going to favour that the T-Tar Dracozolt bring, but has proved that he's not quite a one-trick pony, and got that Trick Room set up, and Bronzong really doing the work with that body presses. We saw Lopunny in week 1. That is such a fast mon. You know, it can run it with after units. A pretty damn good support mon, you know, to itself. We've seen just how strong Bronzong and Togekiss as well can be as support mons. You know, Togekiss can run in that special attack sort of bracket, or he can just run as full bulk. Bronzong as well has got such high defense and special defense as well. It's pretty difficult to take down, and once it gets Trick Room going, it can be difficult to stop. But less blabbering, more Pokemon playing. As we move on into our next game, the first one of the British Pokemon League West Division, it is the Slithering Sceptiles versus Miami Heat. As we kick things off, there is a Cinderace and Blastoise from the Miami Heat, and it's Tita and Lopunny this time. So no Drake is up, but Tita just gets the Sandshrew set up as Cinderace goes straight for its G-Max. Fake out into Blastoise, that could be really big. We know how big Fake out is from that Blastoise. As Max Knuckle comes out on the Cinderace, changes type to fighting and does get that attack buff from Lopunny. Even with the Chopper Berry, just about tanks that as Godzilla, goes for the Tita, goes for the Dragon Dance, gets that attack and speed buff. Helping Hand comes out from the Tita, and that Helping Handed Rock Slide still doing big damage to that Blastoise. There's the Knuckle onto the Tita, and the Sash just about keeps it around. There's Flinch as well, again onto the Blastoise, really huge. As Blastoise swaps out, in comes the Urshifu. Helping Hand again to try and help that Tita do some damage. Iron Head on the Cinderace. Cinderace just tanks that and gets the Airstream, just going to give it that speed buff. Changes type to flying, but does take out the Tita more importantly. But Jabba still hasn't bent its Dynamax, as Latvian Cinderace's G-Max does now end. Dracozolt swaps in. There's the Bolt Beak on the Cinderace. So Jabba using that Dracozolt to perfect effect as Wicked Blow takes out the Lopunny. It is now a 3v2. As Barbracle pops in. The final one is Barbracle. Blastoise swaps out. There's the Pinketchen. A great swap in from Latvian. It takes that Bolt Beak, and that's... And Pinketchen just doesn't care. Gets that special attack buff. The Wicked Blow just about not taking out Dracozolt as Shell Smash comes out from Barbracle to give it that speed attack and special attack buff. There's the Dynamax from Barbracle. Wicked Blow getting that crit as it always does, but not doing too much. Max Geyser is going to take out the Urshifu, and Dracozolt, all it can do is keep Bolt Beacon, and Thunderbolt comes out from the Pinketchen, and it does get the power. Barbracle just hanging on though, thanks to that, and the Fake Out is going to take it out as Orb to Dracozolt, but it can't do anything. It can just keep Bolt Beacon, so it is Choice Band, and that is it. Pinketchen gets the kill with the Muddy Water. And there it is, 1-0 to Latvian's Miami Heat. Super strong throw from Latvian. What a switch in that was. A great call. And it's Slowking and Blastoise. Blastoise gets the Fake Out on the Barbracle. That's going to stop me Flinch. Follow Me comes out from the Togekiss. But Slowking is going to get that Trick Room set up. And it is Room Service Blastoise. Slowking goes straight for its Dynamax. Use onto the Togekiss. This looks pretty familiar, doesn't it? The Togekiss is facing down and Slowking or a Slowbro. The Togekiss with the berry that's going to take it up, but the Togekiss goes down thanks to that Water Spout. Cross Chop on the Blastoise is not going to quite do enough. That Water Spout doing such big damage as Max Mindstorm is going to take out the Dracozolt, and the Ice Beam not quite doing enough to Barbracle, but does get the freeze. It thaws out straight away, but there is the Razor Shell on the Slowking, drops it defense, but already is 2v4 with the Jabba with it all to do in the Trick Room as Tita does go for its Dynamax. It's the Max Guard out as it stops that Max Geyser from going in. There's the Water Spout, and that is going to take out Barbracle. So it's Tita with it all to do with one more turn of Trick Room. This could be it, unless it can hang on through this next turn of Trick Room. I guess no, but gets the burn from the Scald to double Scald as Tita goes down below half HP. There's the Rockfall onto the Slowking. It's not doing quite enough damage. Slowking hanging on this really bulky mon is Slowking. There's another Rockfall, this time onto the Blastoise, but I think one more Scald is going to do it. And there it is, Latvian with another 2-0, another win to his collection. I'm lost for word. Who can stop Latvian at this point? It's 3 2-0s, 3 in a row. He hasn't dropped a single match yet, a single game. It's honestly sensational stuff. GG's to both players. I think Draco got a little bit unfortunate in that first game. I think if you don't have the Choice Band on the Dracozolt, that maybe goes a little bit differently for you. But it's just unfortunate. It's a really great switching from Latvian. I said that's not to take anything away from Latvian. Played that super calmly and super well. And once he got the Trick Room set up in game 2, I think that was game, set, and match. So fantastic stuff there from Latvian. You'd expect nothing less from our Season 1 champion. It's such a strong player. As we move on into our next game, it is the Bulu Boys taking on the Long Island Goomies. So Bulu Boys, another team looking for that first victory of the season. Our Season 1 regular season champions already own 2. So really got to dig deep and try and get that first win. Rillaboom's been quite a consistent bring for the Bulu Boys so far, so I'll be expecting that to make its appearance as well. Whether the Colossal comes out this time with a Dragonite or something similar with an Aquajet or a Surf to proc that Steam Engine, or perhaps Blacephalon leads the line that procs that Steam Engine instead with like a Mind Blown or something. Could be really strong here, but it depends what Silly has in his back. And Silly as always, has a very versatile team. We've seen him do some really great work with the Hatterene and the Indeedee, which we saw so consistently in Season 1 with the Inglorious Surfers. That Starmie as well, under the Psychic Terrain with the Expanding Force, has been doing so strong. You can underestimate Endragalga as well with his. It's been doing pretty well as a support mon. Obviously, came a little bit unstuck last week against California Bastiodons, but that's not underestimate Salite here at all. He's a strong player. He might be 3-0 down to Matt in the head-to-head record, but you can never count him out. Always has a trick up his sleeve, and you know he's a strong player. You know, I'll happily admit that he's a strong player. So it won't be an easy game. But anyway, let's see what happens here. Do the Bula Boys get their first win of the season, or do Long Island Goomies get back to winning ways? Here we go then, game number 1. And there is that Rillaboom as we expected, but also Clawitza and Obstagoon in there as well, with Mesprit as Clawitza and Rillaboom lead the line, and Indeedee, Female and Starmie lead the line, and that Rillaboom is set up slower than the Indeedee, so it changes that terrain around, and that could be really huge, so and get one of those priority moves off straight from the bat, and you know, can stop Indeedee maybe doing any follow me shenanigans. But it's looking very likely that a Grassy Glide into Starmie here could be really huge. Is it going to be Sash Indeedee though? We'll have to wait and see as the Cloyster goes for his Stand Master. There's the fake out into the Indeedee. Flinches it, and there is the Ice Beam into the Rillaboom and gets the freeze as well. How huge could that be? Of Starters in Indeedee, and there's the first kill on the board. Cloyster gets its first kill of the season. Indeedee goes down. It is 3v4. Starmie with a special defense drop as well, thanks to that Max Darkness. And how huge could that freeze be to Rillaboom later on? You know, that Rillaboom, you know, I think next turn could have potentially taken out that Starmie with the Grassy Glide, but now Max gonna have to rethink his options. You know, could get lucky, could get a turn 1 unfreeze, but in comes the Hatterene now. Hatterene you would be expecting to go straight for his G-Max, try and get some G-Max smites popped off, do some damage and get some confusions off. So Starmie now it is stuck in to Ice Beam though. If it is Scarf, Silly did use its Scarf, and there it is. The Starmie swaps in. There's the Hydreigon now, and Blacephalon swaps in for the Bully Boys. Bully Boys doing it's the Blacephalon doing a little dance there. The Max Phantasm into the Hatterene. Hatterene does lift that, but does take a defense drop thanks to the Phantasm. There's the Max Mindstorm into the Cloyster. Cloyster takes a lot of damage from that, and it does. Hatterene does now get the Psychic Terrain set back up for itself. And that could be really big, but obviously no Trick Room. Hatterene moving slowest on the board here, so that could be really big. Cloyster now. Dynamax does end next turn. Hatterene with another 2 turns of its G-Max, so Protect comes out from the Blacephalon. Max Guard comes out from the Hatterene. There's the Dark Pulse. Unfortunately, the Ice Beam did take out the Hydreigon there. Sorry, a few times in this game I accidentally skipped the turn, but Dark Pulse as well from the Hydreigon didn't quite take out the Cloyster's. Cloyster's Dynamax does now end, but the Hailstorm did take out the Hydreigon and does set up the Hail, and in comes Starmie now. So Starmie swaps back in. It is now 2v4, but Cloyster just about hanging on there with 7% HP, and I believe it is Life Orb Cloyster as well, so potentially could be going down this next time. Be a bit of a disaster. Scald comes out from the Starmie. That is going to take out the Blacephalon. Blacephalon goes down. There's a Shadow Ball on the Hatterene. Hatterene now goes down. Cloyster gets another kill, but is going to go down to the Life Orb damage. So straight off the bat is now a 1v2. And Tornadus and the Rillaboom now are going to switch him, but Rillaboom, of course, is still frozen. In comes the Tornadus. Gets the Grassy Terrain set back up. Is it going to freeze? The freeze procs. There's the Scald onto the Tornadus. That does about half damage. The Air Slash onto Starmie takes it down below 30%. Hail does a bit of chop damage, but that Grassy Terrain is going to re-heal all mons on the field. Starmie is Scarf, so it is going to be moving first. Freeze procs again for the Rillaboom. And a Scald into the Tornadus, but that Starmie is now locked into Scald, and all it can do is attack the Rillaboom in this 1v1, which means it's going to thaw out the Rillaboom. Rillaboom's freeze does proc again. There's the Scald, does get a crit for its troubles, but it's going to thaw out, and that is going to be it then. Rillaboom now with one more Grassy Glide is going to be able to take it out. Starmie then still putting a lot of work. There it is. There's the Grassy Glide into the Starmie. Just got a crit as well. And there's 1-0 to the Bulu boys. There's the first game done and dusted as we move on into game number 2. This time it's Obstagoon leading the line with Cloyster, and it's Hatterene and the Zapdos, Galarian Zapdos this time. So the Galarian Zapdos, you know, does have a really strong fighting moves. That the Thunderous Kick does get the, I think it's an attack or a defense drop, 100% likely. So Hatterene as well, you'd be expecting to go straight for its G-Max. Is Matt going to go for the Dynamax on the Cloyster this time, like he did in game number 1? Obstagoon goes for its Dynamax. Hatterene goes for its G-Max. The Thunderous Kick into the Obstagoon, and Obstagoon goes straight down. Absolute disaster for Matt. Ice Beam is going to take out the Galarian Zapdos, but the G-Max Smite is also going to take out the Cloyster in turn 1, and Matt's lost 2 Pokemon straight off the bat, and his Dynamax is banned. Absolute disaster. Maybe wouldn't have been Dynamaxing the Obstagoon facing off against the Galarian Zapdos. A bit of a sort of oversight there as Rillaboom and Tornadus now swap in. Obviously both going to be, well, at the very least the Tornadus is going to be faster. Obviously Rillaboom does have that priority Grassy Glide move. Could go for a fake out here to stop the follow me, but it's more so what has Tornadus got to sort of take out the Hatterene. The Hatterene is just primed in such a powerful position here with another 2 turns of G-Max to go. You know, a really big disaster turn 1 there for the Bulu boys. That could turn this entire match on its head. Follow me comes out onto the Hatterene. The Heat Wave misses both Pokemon though. That could be really huge. There's the knockoff onto the Indeedee. Takes it down with Sash. Max Mindstorm onto the Tornadus. Gets a crit and Tornadus goes down. Resets the terrain, so no priority move for Rillaboom. Indeedee hanging on there, but how huge could that miss be? There's the expanding force from the Indeedee. Grassy Glide is going to take it down, so it is a 2v1, but it's not going to matter as Max Mindstorm from the Hatterene is going to take it out, and we are all tied up. 3 turns that game lasted as we move on to our final deciding game. Are the Bulu boys going to get their first win, or are Goomies going to get back to winning ways? And it is the Galarian Zapdos and Hatterene that lead the line again. It's Mesprit and Cloyster that lead the line for the Bulu boys. So what is Mesprit? There's a lot of different ways to run Mesprit. Of course, it's got, you know, it's a little bit like Mew. It's got same stats across the board, barring its HP and speed stats. We've seen just how amount of work the Cloyster has done so far for this game. We've got Cloyster's been super strong from that. And there's the Zapdos swaps in and takes the Hailstorm. Does Indeedee? Sorry, I skipped ahead that time. So the Zapdos swaps out, but the G-Max Smite hits into the Cloyster, who's Dynamax from the Hatterene, and gets the double confusion there. So Psychic Terrain stays up, and now they've got hail damage to deal with as well, thanks to that Cloyster's Max Hailstorm. So Matt is going to have to be careful here, because a confusion could hit either one of his Mons or both here, which could be really big in this final game. Can't afford to lose that Dynamax early on like what happened in game 2. So Silly does have a high advantage here. What can he get going? Is he hovering over the imprisoned there? Is he trying to follow me? Comes out from the Hatterene. It's a double confusion though. That's huge. And G-Max Smite is going to take out the Cloyster, and the Dynamax is gone on turn 2. Hatterene with another turn of G-Max, but oh, how huge could that be? The double confusion landing. Mesprit doesn't get to take a turn, but in comes Rillaboom now to reset that terrain. It is now a 3v4. So just Mesprit now confused. Obviously no Trick Room setup, so you know Matt does have that speed control currently. So we know that Hatterene is going to be faster than the Rillaboom, but Rillaboom with that grassy terrain now does get the priority. Confusion does end. There's the Protect, but Mesprit stays around. The Follow Me comes out from the Indeedee. Grassy Glide is going to take the Indeedee out. Max Mindstorm into the Rillaboom. Rillaboom just about hangs on there, but it does reset its terrain, so no priority move now for the Rillaboom, as Hatterene's G-Max does now end. Onto turn number 4. It is 3v3, but Rillaboom looking in a bit of a sort of desperate situation here. You know, obviously hasn't got that priority move. Terrain's gone, and that Starmie's going to be moving so fast. You know, one Ice Beam here, and it could be all of. There's the Expanding Force from the Hatterene. That's going to take the Rillaboom out. But there's the Imprison from the Mesprit, and that's going to stop the Hatterene from using its Expanding Force. Grace up there from Matt there, keeping Hatterene doing max damage, and Mesprit with the Citrus Berry as well is going to get some health back as Bucephalon now swaps in. His final one is 2v3. Blacephalon get done here. Obviously, Mesprit now means can't use it. Means Silly cannot use a Protect or an Expanding Force while Mesprit lives. Protect comes out from the Mesprit. There's a Shadow Ball onto Hatterene. Hatterene goes down. There's now a 2v2. Zapdos, Galarian Zapdos swapping in for the Starmie there. So Starmie now is able to use another move. Obviously, it couldn't use its Expanding Force, and with the Scarf, it would have meant it wouldn't have had any moves. So a great swap in there from Silly. Smart stuff. And Protect comes out from the Blacephalon. There's the Scald, stops it from going down. The Drill Peck on the Mesprit. Mesprit does tank that, and there's the Expanding Force, but that's not doing enough thanks to the Levitate. Doesn't get the boost from the terrain, so Galarian Zapdos does live that. And this could be a huge next turn. One Scald here from the Starmie. I think Blacephalon's going to go down, and Mesprit, you know, I maybe can take down the Zapdos, but it's not going to be able to take out the Starmie, so this could be it. This could be GG's. Protect comes out from the Mesprit. There's the Scald onto the Blacephalon, but it's Sash Blacephalon. Blacephalon just about hangs on. There's the Mind Blown into the Starmie, and the Zapdos enemy off go down. And it is game number 3. Goes to the Bully Boys. Blacephalon gets the kill. Mesprit, the final one standing. Bully Boys with their first win of the season. Commiserations to Silly. That crit at the end there did really end up mattering. We did count that later. Really unfortunate stuff. Silly played that really, really well. And it was a really, really fun game. That final game was just absolutely crazy. You did join at the wrong time, Silly. I'm very sorry. But yeah, absolutely sensational stuff. So we now have no teams in the league with 0 wins, apart from Candies. As who we're going to see next, of course, 200 Candies versus the California Bastiodons. Then, obviously, Bastiodons got their first win over the Long Island Goomies last week, so finally get something going on the board. You know, that Metagross with the Dugtrio, just Silly had absolutely no answer for, and it is such a strong duo. Metagross already with quite a few kills this season. So, Candies is definitely going to have to be watchful of that, but we saw Candies try something very, very interesting last week with the Torracat and Butterfree just trying to stall out Jabba, and we said it was just ended up being complete mind games from start to finish in that one. You know, the burns, the sleep powders coming out, and rage powder. So Oma's definitely gonna have to watch out for that. Obviously, the Bulldoze is not going to be affected by the rage powder, so Oma doesn't have to worry too much about that. But it's whether he can stop a fake out coming, or whether he can stop the burn or a sleep powder onto the Metagross. Obviously, we've seen Scolipede come a few times as well. That could be really strong, but it's not really got any kills on the board just yet. Sylveon as well, with that substitute Sylveon has been really strong for California Bastiodon, so we'll see what Sylveon can get done. And of course, on Candy's side, really variable. It's a really sort of what's the word? It's just this again, like Latvian Steam, a lot of different moving parts here. It's very difficult to call what exactly he'd bring. Do we maybe see the Torracat and the Butterfree come out again, or perhaps do we see a first appearance for the likes of Jinx? Obviously, we saw Chansey and Shuckle. We know how strong that is in Series 9. That could potentially come to cause a bit of annoyance to the Bastiodons and try and sort of stall them out. There's potential for beat up onto Terrakion. We keep saying this every week, but it hasn't came just yet. So is this the week that Candies pulls the trigger on that move? I have to wait and see. Obviously, Terrakion is quite a speedy mon. Once it gets that justified proc going, it's hard to stop. Porygon 2 as well, been putting in the work. We know how good that is from Season 1. Can get Trick Room going up. If it starts recovering and gets its Dynamax going, if it gets the download correct and doesn't get an attack boost, it can be quite difficult to stop as well. But without further ado, our final game of Week 3, 200 Candies versus the California Bastiodons, as the Bastions lead out the line with the Metagross and the Hitmontop this time as Torracat and the Jinx lineup. Intim comes out, Clay Body stops that from Metagross. The attack drop on Hitmontop. The eject pack is going to mean the Hitmontop swaps out as Scolipede now swaps in. Metagross goes straight for its Dynamax. Protect comes out from the Scolipede, stops that fake out, but the lovely Kiss is going to proc from the Jinx, and that puts the Metagross straight to sleep. And this could be a disaster for the Bastiodons if Metagross did sleep for its whole Dynamax. But Scolipede gets the Sword Stance, but goes down from the Psychic on the Jinx. Flare Blitz from the Torracat is going to proc that weakness policy, but it's not going to matter because Metagross has woken up. The Steel Spike in the Jinx, and Jinx goes down and does get the defense buff. So 1-turn work up there. That's, you know, all that Oma could have asked for really is Hitmontop now swaps in. Protect from the Butterfree is going to stop that fake out from going up. And there's the Will-O-Wisp from the Torracat. So just playing full annoyance again. Not burning any Dynamax. Max Rockfall does take out the Torracat. So now it is a 3v2. Butterfree now has bent its Protect as Metagross Dynamax does end, and now Dragapult swaps in. This is what he tried last time to get that Dragapult in the late game to use his Dynamax. Protect comes out from the Metagross. The Phantasm hits the Metagross through the Protect. Metagross isn't going to take too much damage now, and the stat drop is stopped by Clear Body. Chandelure, as you saw, swapped in there, and Butterfree gets an Air Slash attack off, and Sandstorm damage is going to do a little bit of chip damage with Chandelure there. Ally Switch comes out from the Chandelure. Airstream is going to take out the Chandelure out, and all of a sudden it is a 2v2. Metagross as well, all bent up. Air Slash not going to quite take out Metagross, and Rock Slide is going to miss that Butterfree, so how huge could that be? And Perfect's up there, and Metagross now you would expect is going to go down this next turn to ban, so Hitmontop technically with it all to do. Fake Out is stopped by that Protect again, and in comes the Dragapult. Airstream into Hitmontop, that takes Hitmontop out. Metagross now going to go down to that burn damage, and that is game number 1 to Candy's. Ironhead not doing all that much to Dragapult. Perfectly played there from Candy's, just able to stall out using that Dynamax and take out the Metagross in the late game. As Torracat and Jinx lead the line for Candy's again, and this time it is Metagross and Hitmontop once again. Hitmontop is going to swap out, as in comes Dugtrio this time, so going to try and get that set, but no, Hitmontop swaps back in, gets the Intim onto the Torracat. Oblivious is going to stop any stat drops for the Jinx. Protect stops the Metagross from taking damage, but there's the Fake Out in the Hitmontop. And the ban is stopped from the part. There's the Fake Out onto the Jinx. Gets the flinch off from the Jinx, which would be really big. And the Will-O-Wisp misses on the Torracat. And there's the double Rock Slide. Jinx is going to go down thanks to that Torracat. Just about hanging on through that. And in comes now the Butterfree. The trio swaps in for the Hitmontop. Protect comes out once again from the Metagross, stopping those Will-O-Wisps. Sleep Powder though is going to hit that Dugtrio. And could that be Oma's whole strat? Put to bed. Dugtrio not able to get its Bulldoze off. Taunt comes out onto the Dugtrio as well. Rockfall now onto the Butterfree. Butterfree though with the sash is going to hang on and gets a Sleep Powder off, so that's both Mons now asleep, and that could be really bad for Oma unless he gets the 10-1 wake up again. Sandstorm is going to take the Butterfree out. It's 2v4, but now Candy's has his Dynamax to use while Metagross is asleep. Phantasm hits into the Metagross, is going to proc that weakness policy, but is it going to matter too much unless this Metagross wakes up? Metagross just about hanging on through that. There's the Flare Blitz into the Metagross though. Torracat taking out the Metagross, who would have called it? And Dugtrio now asleep with a defense drop. The alt is Scolipede now swaps in, does Protect. Is it going to matter too much? As the Wormwind gets a crit as well. Scolipede goes down below half HP, gets the attack drops as well. Flare Blitz blocked by that Protect. Obviously, Oma still does have that Hitmontop in the back. Dugtrio finally does wake up. There's the Shadowkings, the Dragapult. It's not doing all that much though, neither is Megahorn. Airstream is going to take out the Scolipede, and all of a sudden it is 2v2, so Candy's coming back from the jaws of defeat. There's the Flare Blitz at the Dugtrio, and Torracat takes out the Dugtrio with the Flare Blitz. Huge stuff there from Torracat. Torracat, who would have thought, is the sweeper one from Candy's. In comes Hitmontop now with it all to do, and this is going to be GG. Hitmontop is going to take out Torracat with a Fake Out, but Dragon Dart, I think it's going to be enough. Hitmontop not quite going down to it there, but that's going to do it. It's going to be the first win of the season for 200 Candies. Great stuff there from Candies. Really played it out well to stall out his Dynamax. Fantastic stuff. Oma just had absolutely no answer for all the stall play there from Candies. So a really fantastic game. Really enjoyed watching that one back. And as I said, big congrats to Candies. Gets his first win of the season. So we now do have no teams looking for their first win as we move on into week number 4. But of course, week number 4, of course, we're going to take a look at the league table as we move into week number 4. How many times can we say week 4? Who knows? There you go then. Miami Heat sat on 3-0 +6 record in the British Pokemon League West Division. Slithering Sceptiles taking that first defeat, 2-1 now. Following on behind is their 200 Candies and Bulu Boys, both getting their first wins, moving up to 3rd and 4th. Long Island Goomies and California Bastiodons in that dreaded red zone. Of course, though, we are only on week 3. There's still plenty of Pokemon left to play. There it is. There's the classic line. Over in the East Division then, Aaron's Inglorious Surfers absolutely running rampant. 3-0 with a +5 record. Just like Latvian, is there anyone who can stop the Surfers at this point? Looking really strong. South Croydon Saurs getting another 2-0 win this season over the Shadowkings. So also looking really strong. Tostar Belgrade and Shadowkings both losing out this week. drop to 1 and 2, but stay where they are, just on match record. Celtic Celebies then getting their first win of the season to move off the foot of the table. So hopefully Draco can take that momentum into next week and start a bit of a run going. Thunderous losing out 2-0 to our top of the table team and dropping down to 6th place, then 1 and 2. As we take a look at the fixtures for next week then. Over in the West Division, we have got Miami Heat versus Long Island Goomies. These two teams have played each other a few times, and they've shared out games last season. Goomies winning the first time, and the Miami Heat winning the second time round. California Bastions taking on the Slithering Sceptiles. Bastions, I'm sure, will be looking to bounce back and stop the sort of win-loss sort of form they're on. And Sceptiles, I'm sure, will be looking for a huge bounce back from that 2-0 defeat to Miami Heat. And finally, it is 200 Candies versus Bulu Boys. So both teams getting their first win of the season, as we just saw there. So both will be looking to keep that run going and try and get a few wins going for some form. But this next game, it is a huge rivalry game between Inglorious Surfers and South Croydon Saurs. First versus second, these two very, very familiar with each other. Great friends outside the game. This ought to be an absolute cracker, so make sure you do not miss that. After that, we've got the Celtic Celebies versus Newcastle Thunderous. Both our 5th and 6th place teams. So Celebies, as we said, will be looking to build on that win over Torstar Belgrade and try and get something going. And Thunderous, Dave's got to try and get another win after that pretty bad defeat to the Surfers. And finally, our final game of week 4 is Torstar Belgrade versus Shadowkings, and that'll be our penultimate week before we move into our midweek break. Of course, after week 5, we'll be moving into free agency. But that is going to do it for me today. I hope you've all really, really enjoyed this show. It's been a blast putting it on for you guys. We'll be back next Sunday at the earlier time of 12 PM. Should be starting to get a little bit of consistency going with the shows. Life has just been busy as frick recently the last couple of weeks. So I really hope you all enjoyed the show. I'll catch you all again next Sunday. I've been your host, Matt Starr. See you all then. Mwah.